taking me home. One thing really lead to one. See that you're the worst, but I don't know.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another video, man. It's your boy Grandma Kickies checking in with another video. And today I'm coming at y'all something a little different. Now, before I get a video, for people who search this video up for just to see if they really want to read this novel, I go ahead and break it down for y'all because I don't want to keep y'all here for more than 5 minutes, because I know I don't want to just sit there and waste your time and trying to, give you a very detailed summary of the whole entire novel. I'm just gonna give y'all a quick summary so y'all will know if y'all want to read it or not. And first thing first is this novel is for people who likes a long story, also with a huge world. And what I mean by that is pretty much it has lots of world buildings. The MC goes to different worlds, and a lot of those worlds does get fleshed out. Some of them don't, but I say about 50% of them get fleshed out, and we learn a lot about the world and everything like that. So if you like that, and also the story is long, so it's like that 1,000 chapters plus, so you're going to get your money's worth if you really like long stories. And also this also, the MC does do a lot of world hopping in this, and what I mean by that is she just goes to different worlds. So if you like the MC being in different scenarios, where like at one point in the story, he just be in different types of worlds, and he has to like slowly adjust to them. Like in some worlds, he'll go to some worlds that's like underdeveloped, their civilizations are underdeveloped. And then in some worlds, he'll go to very advanced civilizations, and he gotta slowly adjust to them. So you really do get to see the protagonist in different type of situations. So if you like that also, and you really just want to see the MC in different world environments and just in different situations, and you have to see him adapt to it, then I really say that it is for you, and I say go check it out. Now, I won't recommend this for people who get easily attached to characters, and what I mean by that is this novel is more than 1,000 chapters, so you really can't even sit there and expect that the MC is gonna be around the same characters forever. And also, if you searched up this video, then you most likely know what type of novel this is. And usually in these type of novels, the protagonist is pretty much the lifeline for these type of novels, and the supporting characters are pretty much just to push the story. They're just there to push the story. They're not there to grow as characters. So I say if you get easily attached to characters, then I wouldn't recommend this for you, because the MC, like I said, he does like right after he goes to somewhere new, or he gets put in a different situation, they'll get a whole new cast of characters, and all the other supporting characters get pushed to the side. So I say if you get easily attached to characters, then I say you really wouldn't want to read this, because you'll get really angry, because in some points in the story, like especially towards the middle of the story, he does slowly start to, like, all the characters around him slowly you just forget about them, and the story just never updates you on them characters. So I say don't get attached to characters in this story if you do plan to read it. But if you do get attached to characters, then I say don't read it. And also, one other thing is, if you expect the supporting characters around the MC to get character development, then this is not the novel for you either, because like I said, the supporting characters are pretty much there just to push the story forward. They're there for nothing else. Like literally, like they're just to push the story. And I'm kind of starting to stutter, but yeah, like that's like the harsh truth. And like I said, if you search the video, you know what type of novel this is. And yeah, and like it's not really a bad thing where the MC gets put into different situations where the supporting characters or keep like constantly getting switched out. But like I said, they really don't get to flesh out a lot of these characters. Like some of the characters they do get to flesh out, and they do get to explain the characters, but they don't grow with the protagonist. Like if you want characters that gonna grow with the protagonist, then this is not the story for you. And yeah, and that's pretty much it for like the quick summary. Now, for the people who want me to go into more detail about this novel and see if you really want to read it, then stay around, because the real video is about to begin. Alright then, for the people who want to stay for more details about this novel to see if you really want to read it, I'm only gonna be going over chapter 1 through 150. So sometimes I might go beyond it, but most of the time I'm just gonna stay in between that range because that's like I just want to talk about the beginning. I might make a second video about going into more details about the later stuff that happened on later on in the novel. I might do it. It just depends. But yeah, and I just want to I'm gonna first give y'all a quick summary about the novel in the beginning, and a quick summary is pretty much a young boy grows up in a secluded mountain, and his name is Feng Yuan, and his master has already passed away. And his master, before his master passed away, his master had made a like a arranged marriage between him and one of the big family's descendant. So he had to marry a descendant from a bigger family. And at this point in the story, Master Heartless had already died. So we begin off the story with people coming to the council of marriage because like with the descendant that they're supposed to marry, Feng Yuan had become a disciple of a sect head. So the sect head wasn't gonna let their disciple marry a lowly commoner practically, because he was just working in the mountains and he was barely surviving. So at this point they had came to counsel off the marriage because Feng Yuan didn't have no backing, because Master Heartless, his master, had already died. So he had no backing and he didn't have no power. So they didn't want the family, and the sect didn't want the descendant marrying him. And that's pretty much how like the beginning story goes off. And then obviously the story does get way more deeper than that later on in the story, but that was just a quick summary because like I said, I don't want to spoil it for y'all. I want to give y'all a chance to read it. And yeah, for me to go on and like I said, explain more about it and like what my pros and cons about this whole entire series is, first of all, I'm just like I said, I'm only gonna be going to chapter 100 through 100. Chapter 1 through 150. So this is all the way from the beginning of the story until he leaves off to go to Dakian Empire. And you probably know what Dakian Empire is, but if you read the story and you keep reading, you're gonna figure out. And at one point he's going to leave off and go to Dakian Empire so he can become more powerful. And I'm only gonna be going from the beginning to when he leaves Dakian Empire, so I won't crunch up the I just don't want to really get confused. I don't want to confuse myself. So yeah, and one of the things at the beginning of the story that really will bother you is that the story does start off slow. I say like start off like really slow, like it's kind of almost boring slow. I'm not gonna go sit here and sugarcoat it, because it was like horribly boring. Like I almost dropped this series. Like I remember I read like the first 15 chapters, and this man, he was just sitting there planting flowers and stuff. He wasn't doing nothing. Like he wasn't doing nothing interesting. He was growing in power, but it was so slow that it got so boring. But I say like after chapter 30, that's when he started interacting with, he becomes powerful enough to start interacting with people in the city that surround the mountain. And then he also started interacting with the sects. So he gets like, it's more plot lines practically. So you get more of a better story. Cause like I said, the beginning, like the first 15 chapters, he's pretty much just at the secluded mountain, just growing herbs and trying to build his strength up to a certain level. So it does get kind of boring, but since I'm telling you, you probably be able to, struggle through it, because, since I'm here telling you, it should be easier for you. And another thing is, that plays a big part in this whole entire series that probably a lot of you wouldn't like, is that the MC is pretty distant. And what I mean by that is he really don't have any relationships with nobody. Like especially at the beginning, like from chapter like 1 to like 50, he doesn't have no relationship with nobody, but the only people he talked to is a ferret and an eagle. and that's because they're like his pets. Like they're the only people he talk to. Other than that, he don't have like a friendly relationship with it. So you already know what that implies, that it's practically in this novel. It's practically no romance, and I can go and spoil that for you. People wanted to know that there's no romance in this whole entire novel. It is at one point he said he wanted to have a wife and kids, but I think he was joking, in my opinion. But you probably take it as something else. But because I'm on chapter 700 right now, and he hasn't had no type of romance, and that's because he's not that type of person. Like I said, he's very distant, and also he does build relationships, like friendships and stuff, but they don't last that long because, like I said at the beginning, he replaces like the supporting characters constantly gets replaced with newer characters. So he, like, even them friendships that he did build, they not gonna come and play a part in the story, and probably to like later on in the story when you completely forgot about that character. So I say, yeah, the MC is just pretty distant. So I'll say, like I said, a lot of you wouldn't like it at all. So it just depends on how you like your novels. And yeah, and then like I want to talk about the power system. And the power system is pretty much from chapter 1 to 150 it's three not profession, they don't call them professions, but it's 3 roads of cultivation you can go down. It's becoming a Wuzong, or a spiritual knight, or a dream master. And at the beginning you probably won't know the difference between them, but pretty much a Wuzong is pretty much somebody who trains their body, their essence. That's pretty much what they train. They focus on their body. They really don't train their spirit because they're just focused on the body. So people who become Wuzong most likely are very powerful in martial arts. And then we got spiritual knights. Spiritual knights are different because they train their spirit. They don't train their essence, their body. They train their spirits. So by that, you can pretty much clearly tell the difference between a Wuzong and a spiritual knight. And it's pretty much just one of them focus on training their body, and the other focus on training their spirit. And then you might ask yourself, what's the difference? I mean, what is a dream master? Then a dream master, they pretty much they pretty much just practices. They cultivate their magic, or you can just call it spirit because it's pretty much the same. And then you will say, what's the difference between a dream master and a spiritual knight? And a dream master is just like a higher class of a spiritual knight, to be honest with you. And also dream master does have other abilities, like they got abilities of dream traverse, and that's pretty much just projecting your like true divine spirit. You project it out to another plane or another world, and that's pretty much where you can dream traverse. And there's other abilities too, but like I said, it's just the beginning. I don't really want to go into too much detail about the dream master cultivation path. But yeah, that's pretty much just like the basics of it. And then also, like I said, the dream traversing is like it's just pretty much traveling to different worlds, because dream masters, they can't travel with their real body, so they got their spirit, their true divine spirit, and then that's how they travel to different realms, and they can go to different worlds long as they got the coordinates to the worlds. And also they can create their own dream world within their what they call it, sea of conscious. Like that's pretty much, they can create their own dream world too, but like another dream master can also enter their world too. So it's kind of like you'll learn about it once you get a little bit more deeper into it. And that's one thing I can say the novel does do a good job at explaining the cultivation paths to you. So you really won't be looking like a dummy, looking like you don't know nothing about the cultivation paths. And yeah, and then another thing is when the MC does dream traverse, it does kind of feel like filler novels. Filler, because when he dream traverse, he pretty much start out from scratch. So he gotta build himself back up again. And sometimes when he dream traverse, like the first time when he dream traverse, it really doesn't play a big part in the story later on, or like it really doesn't play a big part in the story. The only thing it does is it helps him realize his abilities, and he gains like a little bit, but he gets more powerful. But like his first time dream traverse, and you can probably practically like skip over it. But also there are some times when he dream traverse that that if you skip over, you're going to miss like some important information. Like when he first dreamed, like his second time when he dream traversed into someone else dream world, but their dream world was practically Dakian Empire. And that's how he found out about Dakian Empire, because somebody who traveled from Dakian Empire to his whatever you want to call it world, but we traveled to his world. They was from Dakian Empire, and he was practically able to enter their dream world and practically see everything that they seen when they was in Dakian Empire. So that is something too. If you really want to say that, like, if you really hate that when novels go on like filler little arcs, so you probably won't like it that much, because it, like, sometimes when he dream traversing, it does get bored, especially when he's in Dakian Empire and he's in the final war between the Dream Masters and in the Dakian royal family. Once that like whole entire thing pops off, he'll like dream traverse, and then he'll come back to the real world and update himself on information. Then he'll dream traverse again, and he'll continue doing that cycle, and it gets kind of boring, because once something good happened in the story, he'd be like, okay, let me dream traverse so I can get stronger. And that kind of does mess with you, and it did really make me angry when I was doing it. And yeah, that's pretty much it for like the dream traversing and stuff. Now the power system. The power system is pretty interesting, because right when the people come to divorce, like the cancel the arrangement of the marriage, the MC Feng Yuan, he gains the system. And the system practically at the beginning, it allows him to see his stats. And obviously it's very OP to be able to see your own stats, because you can train in one area and know like how much progress you're making. And that's how you start off. And one of the first skill, and then he also got skills too. And then the first skill he gets is he has medicine, and then he also gets forming. And when he starts, that's like the first skill he started to use is when he's forming. And when they later, like especially at the beginning of the story, his skill of forming plays a big part in him becoming stronger. So that does kind of if people don't like forming in their novels, because like in some novels, I think they do, like when it comes to forming, they do it poorly, where like the MC just like, it'd be like 100 chapters of the MC practically just forming, and that's pretty boring. Like I don't want to, I want to have like 50 chapters of the MC forming plants. Like that's pretty boring. So if you don't like that aspect of your novels, or where the MC is forming or doing some type of just forming anything, then you might won't like the beginning chapters. But I say once he entered Dakian Empire, forming becomes like it's not forgotten about, but like it doesn't become an essential thing for the MC to continue growing stronger. Like he don't need forming to continue growing stronger. He can do other things to get stronger once he go to Dakian Empire. But like I said, it does play a role at towards, like, especially at the beginning, and then towards the middle, he'll still use it here and there, but he really won't use it a lot. And then for Dakian Empire, because I've been talking about this so much, you probably be confused on what it is, or you probably do know what it is because you probably read it. But Dakian Empire is pretty interesting, because right now where I'm at, he has already left Dakian Empire, because he was able to dream traverse with his actual body. So he went to another world because of a threat that was on Dakin Empire. And I'm not gonna really spoil it for you guys, but I kind of spoiled that for y'all. But I'm not gonna spoil everything else on you. So you probably had just read the story or come for my next video if you want to see like my thoughts on everything that's been happening in Dakin Empire. And then for the ratings, for the MC, I give it a 9 out of 10. Even though the MC can be pretty annoying at times where he's very distant from other characters and you really don't see him building any relationships, he is pretty cool and he's pretty enjoyable. He does make the right decisions, like, you know, he won't be scared to do something. He'll just go ahead and do it. So I give it a 9 out of 10 because, like I said at the beginning, the MC is like a vital point for these type of novels because the MC is practically a lifeline, because if they don't got an MC, they don't got a good novel, because the supporting characters are constantly being replaced. So the only character that you can really rely on is the protagonist. So yeah. And then for plot, I give it an 8 out of 10. The plot, like, it's so many different arcs in this novel where it's like it's crazy some of the stuff that be happening. So the plot is really good and the author does a good job at not making the MC too OP to the point where he'll just body everything in his way, because he does do a good job at regulating him, especially when he gets the Dakin Empire and the final war comes up. He wasn't OP at all. Like he wasn't OP. He was still struggling to get resources to continue growing and stuff like that. And then for I forgot with this world building. I don't know why I forgot. But for world building, I give it an 8 out of 10. The world is pretty dense. If you take the MC out of the world, it's still interesting stuff that happens. And also with the different realms, you got different realms that the MC go to that's pretty interesting too. Cause there's like one realm where everybody was practically everybody was exorcists, because it was like a bunch of ghosts and stuff in that world, and that's pretty interesting. And it's one world where it was like a tribal world where everybody was like it's pretty much a tribal civilization. Everybody lives in a tribal civilization. And it's another world where it's just filled with water, like legit just water, and he was a fish. So like the world building is pretty interesting when it comes to this story. And then for attention to detail, I give it 9 out of 10, because like I said in the beginning, when it comes to the cultivation paths, the author, he does a good job at explaining it to you so you can understand it. And he doesn't explain it, like, he doesn't throw all the information at you at once. He throws it in different arcs. You learn with the MC practically. You slowly learn with the MC. What the MC is learning, you learn it too. So he doesn't throw just a bunch of information at you for no, like, you know, just that you understand. And then for power system, the power system is pretty much, I give it an 8 out of 10, because the power system, even though the power system is pretty cool, it doesn't allow him to be too OP. And at the beginning of the story, you probably think that the power system really doesn't make him powerful, but later on in the story, when he goes to Dakin Empire, the power system gives him a major advantage over other Dream Masters. I'm not gonna spoil it what it is, but you'll figure it out and you'll be like, dang, he really do have an advantage over everybody. Especially later on in the story, he like has a huge advantage over everybody. And that's pretty much it for like the power system and stuff. Now, like I said, I recommend this for people. Like I said at the beginning, if you want to read this, go check this out, man. Don't let my opinion or anybody else's opinion change if you want to read it. And if you already read it but you still watch the video, I'm gonna make a part 2 at some point. I don't know when, but I am, because the story really begins when he goes to Dakin Empire. Good stuff does happen when he stays in I forgot the name of the place because I'm on chapter 700 and I can't remember. But when at the beginning of the story, when the story begins at the beginning, that place, it does like play a big role, but like the Deccan Empire is like the biggest thing. Like once he go to Deccan Empire, that's when all the good stuff happen. And yeah, man, I'm starting to mess up everything. My throat is dry, and I'm starting to sound like I'm getting lazy because I'm starting to lose energy. And yeah, man, I'm finna go ahead and end this video. And you already know, man, it's your boy Grandma Cookies. Leave a like, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell if you want more light novel content like this. I do One Piece content also in manga, and I do manga, whatever you want to call it, and I do anime reviews. So yeah, stick around and check that out. And you already know, hit the subscription button. It's your boy Grandma Cookies. Hit him out!
To the tune till I'm dead. Don't